You know, life has this strange, beautiful way of surprising us. One day you're just walking through your own thoughts, trying to figure out who you are, where you're going, and then suddenly something shifts. A warmth enters your life, a softness, a reminder that the world can still be gentle. And that's what I want to talk about today. Because I'm in love now, not the loud kind of love, not the loud kind of love, not the chaotic, movie scene kind, but the quiet, honest kind. The kind that invites you to breathe a little deeper, grow a little kinder, and become someone you never thought you could be. Love, real love, doesn't just change your days, it changes you, music. And that's the journey I want to share. How opening my heart didn't make me weaker, it made me whole. There's a moment in life when you stop and realize that something inside you is changing, and you can't quite understand how it began or why it chose now to rise within you. All you know is that the world feels slightly different, like someone adjusted the brightness, like someone adjusted the brightness, like someone whispered a new truth into your heart when you weren't paying attention. That's how this began for me. I didn't anticipate love. I didn't chase it. I didn't stand beneath the sky and ask for it to strike me like lightning. It arrived in the quietest way, almost like a breath, almost like the softest echo of something familiar, yet brand new. And now I find myself standing here, trying to explain how love, this unexpectedly gentle force, has begun reshaping me in ways I never imagined. I'm in love now, and those words feel so simple, yet inside them lives an entire universe. A universe of memories that haven't happened yet. A universe of memories that haven't happened yet. A universe of possibilities that stretch out farther than my fears ever could. Universe turns into music. A universe where I am no longer walking alone through the corridors of my own thoughts, but instead walking side by side with something that makes me want to be more than I was yesterday. Music. Love does this thing, this subtle internal shifting of gravity, where suddenly the weight you used to carry doesn't feel so heavy. The shadows you used to live beside don't look as dark. The noise of the world doesn't overwhelm you the same way because something warm inside you balances it, softens it, gives it context. It's strange, isn't it? How simply caring about someone can rearrange everything inside you. How the heart, which once felt like a guarded room with dim lights and locked windows, starts opening its curtains to let the sun in. I didn't know how much light was missing until love showed me. I didn't realize how many parts of myself were muted, waiting for something to give them permission to feel again. And now these parts, these quiet, almost forgotten parts, have begun waking up, stretching, remembering their own strength. Love didn't fix me. It didn't rescue me. It didn't arrive like some heroic force. It simply reminded me of who I could be if I let myself feel fully again. I've noticed the small things first, the way my thoughts soften when I think about them, the way my voice gentles without me trying, the way I find myself wanting to show up, not because I have to, but because something inside me is drawn toward their existence, like it has found something familiar in them, something safe. I catch myself smiling at moments that don't belong to anything big. A shared laugh, a quiet conversation, a glance that says more than any words ever could. These are such small details, yet they carry an energy that feels larger than life. They make me aware of the parts of myself that are capable of tenderness, of devotion, of choosing someone not as a habit, but as a conscious act of the soul. Love reshapes you not with grand gestures, but through these subtle shifts, through the way your heart responds to someone's happiness as if it were your own, through the way you begin caring about their comfort with a sincerity, through the way their presence becomes something you don't want to reach the end of. And the beautiful thing is that this transformation isn't loud, it isn't dramatic. It happens quietly, like waves smoothing the edges of a stone over time. You don't even notice how transformed you're becoming until one day you look at yourself and realize that your heart feels different. You feel different. There's something miraculous about waking up and knowing that love has given you new reasons to grow. Not out of obligation, not out of fear, but out of a desire to honor what you feel. I find myself wanting to be more patient, more present, more understanding. I want to learn how to love in a way that sustains, in a way that heals instead of harms, in a way that expands instead of compresses. Love doesn't demand perfection, but it invites evolution. It calls you toward the best version of who you could be. And the beautiful thing is, you want to answer that call. You want to meet love halfway. You want to rise, even if you've been sitting in the same emotional chair for years, because suddenly rising feels possible. Sometimes I think about the version of me before this feeling, the version who thought he understood himself completely. The version who thought he understood himself completely. The version who believed he'd mapped out every corner of his emotional world, who assumed that whatever he felt before was the highest peak he'd ever reach. And now I look back at that version of myself with tenderness, because he didn't know that love could arrive with this much softness. He didn't know that someone's existence could shift the entire atmosphere of his inner world. He didn't know that he still had so much capacity for feeling, for hoping, for opening parts of himself he felt would stay locked forever. That's one of the most beautiful things about love. It shows you the rooms inside you that you never bothered to explore. It shows you that you are capable of more depth, more vulnerability, more hope, more courage. Love doesn't just add something to your life, it reveals something within your life. It reveals something within your life. It reveals the parts of your soul that were waiting for the right moment to step forward. And sometimes it reveals the pieces of yourself that you forgot how to hold. Music. I've learned that love isn't just about giving yourself to someone else. It's also about rediscovering yourself in their presence, seeing yourself through eyes that don't judge you, feeling understood without explanation, feeling welcome without condition. I find myself thinking more slowly now, not because I myself thinking more slowly now, not because I'm confused, but because I'm more aware, aware of how much intention matters when you love someone, how much gentleness can be offered without even speaking, how much meaning exists in the pauses between words. Love teaches you to pay attention, not just to the person you care about, but to yourself, to your reactions, your thoughts, your insecurities, your hopes. It teaches you to soften the edges of your impatience. It teaches you to hold space, to listen, to understand that connection is not something you force, but something you allow, something you nurture, something you honor. I'm in love now, and it's making me see myself differently. It's making me reflect on the scars I carry, the fears I've lived beside, the walls I've built over the years. Love doesn't tear those walls down violently. It simply stands near them with patience. It waits, not with pressure, but with presence. And in that presence, you begin to lower each wall willingly, not because you are compelled, but because you are compelled, but because you feel safe. Love reshapes you by making vulnerability feel like a strength instead of a risk, by making honesty feel free instead of frightening, by making you believe that someone can hold your truth without dropping it. There are moments when I catch myself feeling overwhelmed, not by fear, but by gratitude. Gratitude that life allowed me to experience something so profoundly human. Gratitude that my heart still knows how to respond to connection. Gratitude that someone exists in this world who can inspire this level of emotion, this level of growth, this level of internal transformation. Love has a way of making the world look different. Colors appear softer. Silence feels fuller. Time feels more deliberate. You begin noticing beauty in places you never bothered to look before. Because love opens your senses. It makes you more receptive. It teaches you that life is not just something to endure, but something to feel fully, deeply, unapologetically. I've learned that love doesn't ask you to lose yourself. It asks you to find yourself, as it asks you to embrace the parts of your heart that you've kept in the dark. It asks you to step into your emotions without holding back. It asks you to step into your emotions without holding back. And as it reshapes you, it also grounds you. It reminds you that vulnerability is not a flaw, that tenderness is not weakness, that caring deeply is not weakness, that caring deeply is not something to fear. It reminds you that connection is one of the most powerful forces we have to be seen, to be understood, to be loved, not for who we pretend to be, but for who we actually are. And so here I am, standing in this new version of myself, learning, growing, opening, reshaping. And it all comes from one simple truth. I'm in love now, and it's changing me in ways I never thought possible. There's a moment that arrives when love begins to shift the way you see the world, not because the world itself has changed, but because something within you has awakened to a softer way of looking at life. It's almost as if your vision has been recalibrated, not in the literal sense, but in the emotional sense. Colors feel warmer. Quiet moments feel fuller. Even the empty spaces between thoughts feel more meaningful. And the strange thing is, this shift doesn't come with a dramatic revelation. It comes in the smallest, most gentle ways. The way a certain memory feels different. The way a single smile can soften the hardest part of your day. Music. And now that I'm in love, I'm finding that the world around me isn't something I simply move through anymore. It's something I feel with a depth I didn't know I had. It's not that love makes everything perfect or simple. It's that love makes everything more real, more human, more connected. When you care for someone deeply, you start noticing things you used to overlook. You start paying attention to the quiet parts of life, the subtle movements, the small signs of beauty that were always there but never fully captured your attention. You begin understanding that life isn't measured only in the loud moments, the big achievements, the sudden changes, the dramatic scenes, the sudden changes, the dramatic scenes. Music. Life is also measured in the delicate, almost invisible moments that love teaches you how to see. I didn't expect that falling in love would change the way I looked at the world. I thought it would simply change the way I looked at the world. I thought it would simply change the way I felt about one person, but it's so much bigger than that. Love expands your awareness. It stretches your heart in ways that make you perceive experiences differently. You start caring about things you never cared about. Before you start wanting peace, not because you're tired, but because you're tired, but because you want the world to feel safer for the person you love. You start wanting kindness to exist more abundantly, not out of idealism, but out of a genuine longing for the world to reflect the softness you feel inside. There are moments when I catch myself staring at something ordinary, a cup of coffee, a passing stranger, the way sunlight settles across a quiet room, and I feel something warm, something deeply human, your describe as appreciation, not because the object or the moment is remarkable, but because I've begun to see things through a lens of connection. I've begun noticing the way everything in life overlaps, the way emotions ripple, the way even small gestures can change the course of someone's day. Love teaches you that every detail matters, that every second contains something worth feeling, that the world is not as cold or chaotic as it sometimes seems. It's almost as if love hands you a new set of eyes, eyes that notice the sincerity in someone's laughter, eyes that recognize exhaustion in someone's voice, eyes that understand the way silence can carry comfort or sadness or longing. You don't just look at people, you see them. You see their struggles, their hopes, their quiet attempts at being strong. You see the beauty in their imperfections, the courage in their vulnerabilities, the honesty in their emotions, the honesty in their emotions. Love teaches you to look past the masks people wear and into the human truth they carry beneath them. I find myself listening more now, not just hearing words, but feeling the emotion behind them. When you're in love, you begin to understand that listening is not about waiting for your turn to speak. It's about letting music, someone else's truth exist without interruption. It's about giving them space to be real, to be themselves, to be fragile if they need to be. And this kind of listening doesn't stay confined to the person you love. It extends outward into the world, into the way you interact with strangers, with friends, with moments that once passed you by without a second thought. There's a softness that grows in you when you're in love, and it doesn't make you weak. If anything, it makes you more grounded, more aware, more connected. You start realizing that strength is not about being hard or impenetrable. Strength is about being open enough to feel deeply, even when it scares you. And once that softness enters your heart, it changes the way you move through the world. You become more patient. You become more forgiving. You become someone who sees value in things you once considered insignificant. Love teaches you to slow down, to appreciate the moments that don't scream for your attention, but whisper quietly for you to notice. Being in love has made me understand that beauty is not something you chase, it's something you learn to recognize. It's in the way someone's eyes light up when they talk about something they care about. It's in the way the sky shifts color in the evening. It's in the warmth of a shared silence. It's in the courage it takes for someone to be honest about their feelings. Love doesn't create beauty, it reveals it. It removes the emotional dust that had settled on your perception, and suddenly everything looks a little clearer, a little more meaningful, a little more worth holding on to. I found myself becoming more grateful, little more worth holding on to. Music. Not because life has suddenly become easier, but because love teaches you to see the good that has always been there. Gratitude becomes a nah. Gratitude becomes a nah. Music, natural response, a natural rhythm. You start appreciating the simplest things, the sound of laughter, the comfort of presence, the peace of knowing someone cares. And this gratitude spills into everything. The morning light, the random kindness of strangers, the unexpected quiet in a noisy world. Rees, gratitude becomes a language your heart begins to speak fluently. Love teaches you that the world is not just a place you exist in, it's a place you participate in. It's a place you participate in, a place you influence, a place you can soften with your actions, your words, your presence. Caring for someone deeply makes you realize that every choice you make echoes. Your presence, caring for someone deeply makes you realize that every choice you make echoes beyond yourself. Your kindness becomes a ripple. Your gentleness becomes reminder that humanity still has tenderness left in it. Love gives you the courage to be softer in a world that often encourages hardness. It gives you the courage to show compassion in moments where it would be easier to turn away. It gives you the courage to see people not as obstacles or strangers, but as souls moving through their own battles, their own hopes, their own longing to feel seen. There are moments when I look at the person I love and realize that loving them has made me a better observer of life, a more attentive witness, a more present participant. I don't dismiss emotions the way I used to. I don't dismiss emotions the way I used to. I don't numb myself to avoid discomfort. I don't rush through moments as if they are disposable. Love teaches you that nothing meaningful is disposable. Love teaches you that nothing meaningful is disposable. Every moment, Every conversation, every breath, shared with someone you care for, has a lasting imprint. And once you begin seeing life through this lens, you start treating each moment with more reverence, more presence, more sincerity. I've learned that love changes the way you respond to problems, not because problems disappear, it turns into music, but because love teaches you to approach them with a calmer heart. You start realizing that not everything needs to be solved with urgency or frustration. Some things need patience, some things need understanding, use. Some things need silence before they need words. Love teaches you emotional clarity, the ability to sense when to act, when to wait, when to speak, and when to simply hold space. And this clarity extends beyond the relationship. And this clarity extends beyond the relationship. It becomes a philosophy for how you interact with the world around you. When you're in love, even the difficult moments feel different. They don't feel like signs to run away. They feel like invitations to grow, to communicate, to understand more deeply. Love teaches you that conflict doesn't have to mean disconnection. That vulnerability doesn't have to mean disconnection. That vulnerability doesn't have to mean fear. That honest emotions don't have to mean chaos. Instead, they can be pathways to deeper understanding. They can be bridges instead of walls. They can be healing instead of harm. And once you learn to navigate emotions with this perspective, the world becomes less threatening. Life becomes less overwhelming. You begin carrying a sense of internal steadiness that makes even difficult days feel manageable. I've noticed that love also teaches you humility. You begin to realize how little you actually know about the world, about people, about emotions, about yourself. Love reveals the spaces where you can grow, the tendencies you didn't recognize, the fears you didn't admit. And in this humility, there's beauty, because humility opens the door to learning, to listening, to becoming someone who doesn't assume they have everything figured out. Humility makes your heart more teachable, it makes your spirit more open, and it makes your view of the world more compassionate because you begin seeing that everyone is trying, everyone is learning, everyone is carrying something unseen. There are moments when I catch myself taking a deep breath simply because something reminded me of the person I love. And in that breath, I feel a quiet sense of peace, a peace that wasn't there before. Love gives you those breaths, those pauses, those moments of stillness where the world feels less chaotic, less overwhelming, less harsh. It's not that love protects you from life's difficulties. It simply gives you a softness that makes those difficulties feel less consuming. It gives you someone to think of when the world feels too heavy. It gives you a sense of connection that grounds you even when everything else feels uncertain. As I walk through my days now, I notice that love has made me more open to wonder. Wonder in simple things, music. Wonder in the way people express themselves. Wonder in the way emotions move through the body. Love teaches you that life isn't something to rush through. It's something to marvel at, something to explore with curiosity, something to appreciate with full presence. Wonder becomes a daily companion, a gentle reminder that life still holds magic for those willing to see it. And through all of this, I realize that love has not only softened my view of the world, it has deepened it. It has given everything more texture, more color, more meaning. It has made me more aware of the fact that the world is not made up only of events, or places, or objects. It is made up of feelings, of connections, of small moments that shape us in ways we don't always recognize. Being in love teaches you that the world is not something outside you, it is something reflected through you. And the softer your heart becomes, the more beautiful the world appears. I'm in love, no, music. Duh, yeah. And because of that, I see the world with eyes that are no longer guarded, but grateful, no longer rushed, but attentive, no longer distant, but deeply connected. And this shift, this softening, this awakening has become one of the most meaningful changes love has brought into my life.